Pete with GCI Turf. I hope you're having a great day today. I've got a very special guest with me. This is the GCI Turf MowDown ShowDown, and this is the Scag V-Ride 2. So be sure and like, subscribe, and share. Tell all your buddies. And what we're doing here is this is a video series where we're highlighting multiple brands of stand-on mowers. I do have a favor and ask that you be very respectful in the comments. I know sometimes your experience with a certain brand may not be all that great, but I want you to remember one thing. American hands made this machine, and American moms and dads go to work and make these machines to feed their family. And something you might say could maybe affect that in a little bit of a negative way, and we don't want that. And if you've known me for any length of time, you know I'm all for the American family and all for American manufacturing. Each brand of mower is going to get their own individual video. I also want you to know this is not a paid promotion. I'm doing this on my own time, on my own dime. And as nice as it would be, I don't get to keep the mower. It's got to go back where it came from. This is not going to be a competition style review. It's going to be more of a category and subcategory review, and each one of the subcategories is going to get a score from 1 to 10. So first time on a Scag V-Ride, and I had fun. I actually enjoyed the mow. With all the machines, as soon as I get off of it, I want to give you one word, one thought comes to mind for this machine, and that's productive. The entire time I was mowing, I felt like I was getting the job done. I was getting it done efficiently, getting it done quickly. So we'll kind of go over some more of that in the actual point system here. But I think that's my one word that fits this machine. How I feel about it is productive. So the first category in the scoring, bad to the bone. So let's talk about aesthetics and build quality. I mean, I'll say it again, you don't need to buy something on how it looks, okay? You buy something by the way it performs and how much money it's gonna make you. Because at the end of the day, you're in business to make money, okay? You're not in business to look good. But at the same time, I think the aesthetics of a piece of equipment or a mower kind of plays a little small part in the back of your mind. And just by looking at the machine, it's a tough looking machine. It looks rugged. It's got a really cool stance about it. Overall it's a good looking machine, okay? I think on looks alone, aesthetics, I'm gonna go with an 8.5. Now talking about the scoring system, in order for a machine to get a 10 in a particular category, it's going to have to be over the top, dead perfect, okay? I'm gonna be extremely strict on me scoring these machines, and I'm gonna talk with the guys about that as well. And we're just not going to throw out 10s across the board. So just wanted to make you aware of that. Build quality, Scag was very adamant that I go over this, that this machine is made from United States military grade steel. That's a big deal. I mean, that's a huge deal. They source their metal, their steel from America, American soil, and it's all military grade, no pun intended, but it's built like an army tank. I mean, it's very, very well built. I see zero issues with the wheels. They all look super solid. Just everything about the build quality of the machine is extremely rugged and extremely well built. This is going to be one of the rare times that I'm going to give a 10, but I feel like the build quality of this mower, it deserves a 10. It's built that well. And you take the American steel out and take the, that kind of thing out, I still say it deserves a 10 because of the build quality. It is absolutely, it's just, you can look at it. You can tell when you see quality, you know quality when you see it, you know what I mean? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with the build quality on it. Now that doesn't mean you'll buy it and a nut will fall off or a bolt to fall off, but that's just some things like that's going to happen. But right here as it sits, I'm gonna call it a 10 for the build quality. Let's talk about ease of maintenance. It's a big deal. we like changing our own oil, doing the routine things, changing belts and things like that. So we're going to look at some of that right here and see just how easy it is. Of course, I've got my dipstick. We always check the oil before we go out in the mornings. That's a given. So that looks pretty easy to get to. The refill right here to put oil back in looks pretty easy to get to. The oil filter, this is nice because it's right here. I mean, there's absolutely nothing in my way. I don't know what kind of cooler this is, but maybe that's an oil cooler right here on the side is what it looks like. But I can get to my oil filter super easy. This right here is something I really want to point out. At the bottom of the block down here, there's looks like a T-valve, and it's connected to a hose, a rubber hose, and the rubber hose kind of goes down right through here, right behind, in between the tire and the frame, or on the inside of the frame. And what I have down here is I can slide this out, and look over there. That is convenient. Look at here. And now all I've got to do is work this out to a drain pan or something, and I take me a wrench and I crack this valve, and then my oil is going to drain out of this tube. Now, one thing I would like to see that would make this perfect is if this machine came with an extension kit, okay? Because right now I either have to jack the machine up to get this tube to it, or it's going to run in the floor, because see, it only comes out so long. It only comes out not even halfway to the tire. So if this had a little extension kit where you just plug it into this tube, it's a simple union hose barb. That's 1/2 inch right there, I believe. 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch hose barb, and another 1.5 foot, 2 foot of tube. Then you could just connect it there, and you could set your drain pan, your catch pan out here on the ground, the shop floor beside the mower, and there's still enough gravity here where that would flow. So in my opinion, this is absolutely near perfect for changing oil, other than the tube's not quite long enough. And again, I want to make sure that it's clear that, we're not going into severe details on maintenance. This is just basic, bare bones maintenance things that if you've got any basic mechanical knowledge, you can do. You can see this cover comes off right here. I'm going to look up under here a little bit, and it looks as if I can get to the belt pretty easily. Let's come right here, and there are two, I guess these are some type of a wing nut maybe. We can pop this one off. Pop this one off. And this entire section comes out. Now we're getting somewhere. Now this is all nice and opened up, and of course I could take this other one off on the other side, and then to further it, I can drop the deck all the way down to the ground like that. And look at this. Look at how open and airy that is. I mean, you can almost take the dang deck off. Look at that. That is really cool. I like that a lot. I mean, it's really easy to get down in here. This pulley looks like an tensioner pulley right here. Again, this is the first time I haven't studied the machine. I'm going on a whim right here with first impressions. This looks like a tensioner pulley that I can probably, I'm not going to, but I think I can unclip this right here, and that would loosen it up where I can get the belt off really easily, run a new belt on it, and then reset it right here. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. If I'm wrong, someone comment below and let me know. Okay, let's come back here to the where we can get to the hydraulics, and let's see. Yep, that goes up, and this just comes right off. And I've got two more nuts right here. Those nuts come off, and I've got pretty good access right here. Of course, you got this plate right here in the way, but that's structural. That probably has to be there to maintain structure. Here's where you put your hydraulic fluid in. The filter looks, let's see, what does this filter go to? That's the fuel filter. That looks pretty easy to get to as well. I guarantee you probably have to potentially, I think you may have to drain these hydros. Let's see here. Yep, here's the hydraulic filter is up under the bottom right here. So actually that's pretty simple to get to. I mean, it's just a matter of sticking your hand up in here and taking that off. So far, not too incredibly difficult on you know, some ease of maintenance type stuff here. And here's the battery, and oh, whoa, now that's nice. I had no idea. This just kind of flips up out of the way. Looks like you've got a 7/16 nylon nut right there. You would undo. There's a bar, a brace in here that holds the battery in place. It doesn't, you know, bounce around, so that's pretty easy right there. The air filter is going to be pretty standard across the board with most of these machines. It's pretty basic, pretty simple. You have an inner and an outer, and it's really that simple. So I think most all of the mower manufacturers have went to this style, and it's been this way for a pretty good while now. So really no issues with that. You just want to absolutely make sure that you check these things and change them on a routine basis. So on the toolbox, ease of maintenance, I think the thing, it looks to be very simple to work on, and I'm gonna give it a 9.5. The only reason I don't give it a 10 is because that even though the tube coming to drain the oil is genius, I think you're well on the way, but you need to finish the job, and that is send some type of a extension kit or make the tube longer and maybe coil it up and hide it up under there somehow, because when you pull it out, it kind of stops right center ways of the tire. So, you know, you still got to kind of either drop the deck all the way down or jack the machine up on this side to get an oil pan up under there. I think that's near perfect. So that's why I scored a 9.5. So this is a big category right here, ingenuity. And you know, this has a lot to do with the design of the controls, the ergonomics, the functionality, the ease of use, the comfort up here in the operator's platform, your height of cut adjustment. Let me explain to you what I'm looking for with a machine like this, and then you'll know what I'm basing my score off of. So I like to be able to get into the machine easily. That seems to be the case here. It's not much trouble to get up on here, and I like everything within a hand's reach. Okay, I've got my height of cut, my deck adjustment right here. I've got my parking brake right here. So far I haven't even had to stretch my arms out. I've got my key and my PTO and my throttle all right here, and obviously I've got my controls right here. So far so good. So let's look at the orientation of it and how that would play along with you mowing on a day-to-day basis. Obviously you're going to crank the machine up, and then you've got your throttle and your PTO kind of right here side by side, right center of console, and then obviously here's your parking brake that you have to disengage before you can move the machine. Here's the height adjustment. The one thing I think I've got a little bit of a quirk about is, now obviously the more you use this, you're going to break it in. Okay, it's going to get broke in, and it'll wear some and be a little easier, but this is pretty heavy. I mean, that's pretty rough to pull back. I'm not sure I'm a fan of American metal, but I'm not sure I'm a fan of this texture on this steel, because I can just see you doing that all day. That could potentially make your hand a little bit raw right there, but I think that's more of a personal preference than anything. But back to the controls, I think everything is nice and laid out to where I can get to it easily. I'm not having to, you know, dig down in between my control levers right here to get the stuff. It's just a simple move up with my hands, and I've got my hands on everything I need. So as far as the controls go, I think I'm gonna give it a 9. The reason I'm not considering it a perfect control layout is, again, you know, this thing's a little heavy to pull up and let down, and then that texture right there, that's kind of rough. And I've got really tough hands. I don't have poo boy hands, I assure you. Listen, they're like sandpaper because I've used them for years, but even at that texture is still a little bit rough. So someone with little soft hands, that might hurt. So I give the controls a 9. I like the layout. I think the layout's really good. One thing I am a fan of, and this may be personal preference, is I like my parking brake opposite of my deck adjustment. Okay, that's coming from my opinion. You may be the other way. You may like the deck adjustment over here and the parking brake over here, but I prefer this actual setup right here for myself. All right, so ergonomics. This is going to kind of be how the thing fits your hand. I've got to put this down to be able to manipulate this a little bit, and you know, the stand-ons are going to come 2 different ways. One, they'll have a rigid bar front and back, and you will push the controls toward one way for forward and pull the controls back for the other way. And then some machines will have the rigid bar in the middle, and then you will pull the controls to the bar or push the controls to the bar. So there's 2 different ways these come. It doesn't matter to me either way. I can control and manipulate them regardless of that orientation. What I'm more concerned with is how this thing fits my hands. Now, ergonomics, you know, to each his own. Your hands are going to be different than mine, or different sizes, different shapes, all that. Hopefully you got all 10 digits, but you know what I'm saying, okay? So you probably need to go stand on one of these, and you need to feel of the control layout and figure out for yourself. But for me personally, this is a little tough. And again, I know the hydraulics, all this will probably get worn in and broken in and used and will loosen up, but I'm going off of what I have right here. And the hydraulics are touch stiff, just a little touch stiff for me. I would like to see the hydraulics be able to, you know, go forward, push or pull backwards just a pinch easier. As far as reverse, this fits my hand really well. Forward, I've got pretty good size hands, but I'm still having to really stretch out my hands to get a good firm grip on it. But once I do that and get it operational position, then I'm good. I think the curvature of this is really nice. It fits my hands. I didn't feel my shoulders getting too tired, you know, because you know, some handlebars you'll see that they're kind of got a jacked up shape, and it puts your shoulders in an odd position, and you do that all day long, your shoulders can get sore, and I didn't find that to be true here. So ergonomics, I'm gonna go a 9 on this, because just again, I think this might be a little bit of personal preference here, but I think these hydros are a pinch stiff, and you know, I have to kind of spread my hands out a little wide to get a good purchase on that to get going. We'll throw functionality and ease of use into one category, and that's just you know how all this functions together and how it all works together, and then how easy is it to use. And you know, that kind of goes back to the layout a little bit, but I think all of this is super easy to use. I mean, there's nothing complicated about actually using it until you get into the little fine details like I was talking about with this texture here. But as far as being able to get to it and use it, the layout is wonderful. The layout's great. I do have a USB port. Oh, that's not a USB port. That's like a cigarette lighter, like old school. So you would need to get the cigarette lighter adapter with the USB port and plug it in there. That way you could keep your phone charged. So that's absolutely nice right there. All right, so the height of cut adjustment, we went over all that in the controls, and you kind of know how I feel about that. So for the fuel tank, I personally prefer a dual tank setup, and you know, I like a little more capacity than that, if I'm being honest with you. The distribution of the weight, you know, you got a little more weight on this side. I'm sure the battery helps offset that a little bit, but if you're on a really steep hill and you got a full tank of gas and the weight's all on that side, you know, maybe cause some trouble, maybe not. So the height of cut range and the height of cut accuracy, let's go look at that now. So let's take a look under the deck and see if we can see anything abnormal or anything a little bit different. than, you know, the typical mower deck you would see. Big nice wide rollers back here across the back, anti-scalp. These look like really well made spindles. Blades on and off is pretty cut and dried. Simply take this bolt out, sharpen your blade, and then put it back on. It's got a washer right there. All of this design right here looks pretty familiar. I mean, majority of your mowers are gonna have that basic design right there. Now up here at the front, this is a little different, okay? This is actually the first time I think I've ever seen this. This is adjustable right here. That's really cool. In talking with the guys from Scag, I do believe if you drop this all the way down or you adjust it one way all the way, you will keep more material inside the deck. Like if you're doing a leaf removal and you're chopping up your leaves and you want more of that material to stay under the deck to grind it and chop it up, you would adjust it all the way one way, and then you would adjust it all the way the opposite way. Say if you're in some really tall grass and you really want to cut that tall grass extra good. So that's really unique. That's pretty cool right there, I would have to say. And of course, those of you that own a Scag, by all means, please comment below if there's anything I've kind of missed about this deck that you would want to be pointed out, or the actual way this is adjusted. Please comment below so folks can read that. So this is the height of adjustment. Determines your height of cut. It goes all the way from 4.5 inches all the way down to 1.5 inches. So we're gonna check this and we're gonna see just how true that is to the actual height of cut from the ground. So we're at 1.5 inches on the setting, and you can see right here, that is pretty dang spot on to 1.5 inches. Now let's go all the way up to 4.5 inches. And we'll check that, and as you can see, it's more like 4 3/4. You can see right there. Try to get you in here level with it. We're in between the 4.5 and 5 inch. Now let's check it somewhere right in the middle. Let's go to the 3-inch mark. Wow, look at there. Absolutely dead spot on. And we drop it down to 2 inches right below the 3. So the actual height of cut seems to be very true to what the indicator marks are on the side of the mower. So, pretty good stuff right there. I mean, it's pretty doggone accurate all the way from the bottom all the way to the top. It did register a little bit off as the height of cut got up toward the top, but when you're cutting that high, I don't guess it really matters anyway, does it? Height of cut range, we had that little bit of where it was off, so I'm gonna give it a 9, just because these are, I'm sure these are, the quality control on these machines are super good, and if you're gonna sell a machine that says it mows at 4.5 inches, it should mow at 4.5 inches, is the way I feel. So the cut quality, so I got to mow 3 different yards, and I mowed them at 3 different heights. I mowed that one over there at 4.5 inches. I mowed my father-in-law at 4. I mowed my yard at 3.5 inches. And I mowed the bluegrass at 2 inches, or 2.5 inches. And so I got a good feel for the quality of cut across the board as far as different heights go. And I think I gotta say, it cut the bluegrass cleaner than any other grass. Now, my fescue's cut real clean. I mean, the quality of cut on this machine is very good. One thing I did notice about the quality of cut, it didn't matter how fast I mowed. If I mowed slow, I got a very nice quality of cut. If I was going across the yard full speed, wide open, bouncing across the ditch or whatever, I still got the same quality of cut, which that's a big deal. So I have no complaints whatsoever about the quality of cut. My fescue does have a few little stragglers here and there. I did notice when I got back in the very back there at my neighbor's, that's not the plushest, most lush fescue in the world. So you had some, some wild grasses sticking up here and there. And I did notice it left some of those. It didn't cut them clean. Now I was mowing that section back there pretty much at full speed, but again, I'm expecting a really good, tight, clean cut, regardless of what I'm doing. So how well does it side discharge? Well, again, I'm going to try to make all this that I'm doing is going to be dry grass, okay? My yard, 0 issues. Bluegrass, 0 issues. Both of these yards, 0 issues. It really disperses the clippings very well. Not one time did it chunk up or spit a big chunk of anything out. So the side discharge is very nice. And one thing, if you'll notice, it has a huge opening. I mean, that opening right there is massive. So that means all that grass that's turning under that deck, it has somewhere to go, right? So cut quality, I'm gonna give cut quality a 9.5. I think the machine cuts very, very well. It's a very nice, very clean cutting machine. Again, every single blade in the Mower series, every single one's been taken off balance and sharpened by me, so they're all identical, so no one has any advantage there. I didn't do any double cutting. Obviously, if I had double cut all this, it would have really cleaned up a few little stragglers here and there that I'm looking at. If I would have double cut over there, I could have cleaned up some of those grassies that were standing up that it didn't take down all the way. So if it weren't for those, it would definitely, it's about as close to a perfect cut as I've ever seen, to be honest with you. It's an extremely good cutting mower. But there's a few little things there, little stragglers here and there. I'm gonna go 9.5 on the cut quality. Now on the side discharge, my guys are gonna be taking these machines out and they'll be mowing first thing in the morning, so there will be some dew on the ground. So their opinion on the side discharge will probably be a little different than mine, because again, I'm just mowing dry grass. So I have 0 complaints, absolutely none whatsoever. So I have to give it a 10, because it was as close to perfect as I could possibly get. It just dispersed the clippings nice and evenly, and absolutely no complaints about that. Stripes, this is going to be a tough one. This is going to be a tough category to judge, because I'm doing a one-off virgin grass right here, and based on all the striping that you've seen me do and all that, I feel like I've got a pretty good amount of experience of that. There's no kit on this unless those rollers, I know they're probably anti-scalp rollers, but those rollers may play a little bit into striping. But when I look at the bluegrass, and when I look here, and then when I look there, and at my dad's, my father-in-law's house, I'm gonna give it, I think I'm gonna give it an 8.5, okay? It's just not, now I've got some stripes, let's look at them. And again, you gotta keep this in mind, okay? The conditions are different, and there's so many things that play into striping, but I'm going off strictly a one-off mow. Okay, that's all I'm going off. Now these stripes look good, but they're not, by no means, they're not in your face, look at me. Now, I have no doubt in my mind, if we had a high sun and I double cut or double cut or mowed one time and then mowed it again the same pattern the next time I mow, I have absolutely no doubt the thing will lay down some killer stripes. Okay, I have no doubt, but I can't base it off that. I have to base it off a one-off, and they look good. You can see them, but they're just not. They just don't have that that go-getter that I'm looking for. It's just not. It's just not that in-your-face wow like I'm looking for. So for those reasons, I'm gonna give the striping an 8.5. So comfort and ride quality, that's a big deal, huge deal. You're mowing all stinking day long. You don't want to get home and feel like you've been run over with a Mack truck, you know what I mean? So comfort and ride quality are big. Now, as far as the comfort of the machine goes, you know, I'm looking at how the machine kind of hugs me, how it kind of holds on to me. I'm looking at this platform right here, how it kind of gives with my weight. I'm 6'1", 250 pounds. This is adjustable. This platform is adjustable. It has some of the rubber bushings up under it that you can slide toward the rear and probably get rid of some of the bounce, make it a little stiffer or less stiff. You know, the comfort, it holds me good. I'll say that. I do know that when I'm going downhill, I like to do this a lot. You know, put your knees in as a bracing, and this is wonderful. This padding is absolutely fantastic. It's got really good cushion to it. I really don't feel my knees hitting the metal behind it. Well, there's not metal behind it. There's this wood. It's wood behind this right here, and it's not really. It's got good cushion to it, I think is what I'm trying to say. So I like that. As far as the overall comfort of the machine, I feel like maybe this, if I would have adjusted this a little bit and played around with it, it might not be quite as stiff, but it's missing a little bit of bounce. But overall comfort, as far as me being in the cockpit of the machine, I'm gonna give it a 9.5. I think it's a pretty comfortable machine. I'm not sore in any way after using it. Everything just 9.5. I gotta go with that. I'm talking about the ride quality, you know, that's different than the comfort. You know, when you're going across the yard mowing, you don't want the thing to beat you to death. You know, that's what I'm talking about when I mean ride quality. And I gotta say, this machine is very stiff, and those are things I don't think you can break in over time, because you know the metal obviously is not going to give. It's rigid. There were some places in the backyard over here at my neighbor's. That's a pretty rough backyard. That I would come in contact with the bump or the hump or the ridge, and it would throw the machine out of the mowing track. Okay, if you look at the flyover and you slow it down, you kind of zoom in when I'm on the left side in the rear, you can see it kind of humping and bumping and bouncing around. And of course, it didn't beat me all that bad. Okay, it didn't affect me that much because I'm comfortable in the cab right here. But the ride quality, it leaves a little bit to be desired, in my opinion. It's kind of stiff. So, you know, I get it. I understand that, you know, the stand-on market, you know, they don't come with full-blown suspensions and all that. I get it. But in a one-off mowing, you know, I got to say, as far as the ride quality goes, I'm gonna give it an 8 because it's pretty rough. Who don't like horsepower? You know what I mean? The power of a machine, you know, all that's driven from the engine. Obviously, this has a really strong motor on it. It's got the Vanguard EFI 37 horsepower, and in no way, shape, or form does the machine lack for power. In no way, based on the conditions I mowed in today, it has more than enough power to get the job done. So for that reason, and that reason alone, I'm going to give it a score of a 10 in the power category. And for a fun, non-scoring category, hold my sun drop. Yes, we have a really nice cup holder right here built in, molded into the gas tank. Would not expect that to stay there when you're mowing. I'm sure with the stiffness of this mower, you would probably lose your sun drop pretty quickly. I do think it's worth noting that you got a nice little convenient phone pouch right here. Now, I think I would probably be more inclined. That way my sun drop is nice and protected. I realize, you know, drinks and water come in many different shapes and sizes. I personally would like to see this a little deeper, and maybe some type of a foam or some type of insulation type material that would kind of lock your beverage in place, because that's really, it would not take much at all to knock that out. And last but not least, the verdict. So overall, I am very pleased. The machine, like I said with my one word, is super productive. I mean, I mowed a lot of grass here in a pretty quick time, and I was comfortable the whole time doing it, other than the ride quality kind of agitated me a little bit. The normal ditches, and my father-in-law has a really much steeper ditch over there. It held those with zero issues, none whatsoever. The quality of cut, I love it. It is a very, very well built machine, and I honestly don't think you could go wrong if you own a Scag. That's my personal opinion. That's my verdict. Is I don't think you could go wrong if you own the Scag. Other than the few little quirks and things that I've went over in the video that I said I don't like, or didn't score all that great. It's hard to find a perfect mower. Okay, I want to make that clear. But overall, this thing is well built, and it mows grass, and it mows it well, and it mows it very quickly. And those are the things that you want when you're in a lawn care, own a lawn care company, is your productivity needs to be at a peak level, okay? Because you only get so many hours during the day to cut grass, so you want to get out there, get it done, and make as much money as you can. So I'm impressed with it. I think it's a great machine. So like, subscribe, and share. Tell all your buddies. This is kind of what you're going to get with each mower. So these are kind of lengthy videos, and I apologize for that. But I want to go over each machine and give it its time as it deserves. So again, like, subscribe, and share. So hey, I can't wait to show you the next machine. And as always, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch. I'll check you later.